Welcome to Reform Thinking. Today we're doing a deep dive, really getting into just two verses, Genesis 1.24 and 25.
Right. The creation of the land animals on day 6 seems straightforward, maybe?
Yeah, you might just skim past it.
Yeah.
But the source material we've gathered suggests there's way more going on here than just listing animals.
Definitely. It treats these verses as, well, really tight theological argument. Very structured.
So that's our goal today. To unpack that structure, the rhetoric Moses is using, we want to see what he's teaching about God's power, about order in creation, and about what good actually means here.
And it's crucial groundwork, isn't it? Right before humans appear on the scene.
Absolutely. The ancient world often thought creation came out of chaos, or that, matter itself had some kind of power.
Mm-hmm. Competing stories.
But Genesis pushes back hard. It says, nope, it's word first, world rightly ordered. These verses are like a hinge setting the stage perfectly.
Yeah, they lay the foundation. Before Adam gets his job, his dominion task, he needs to understand the world he's stepping into.
He needs to see that everything from the animals close to home, the livestock, to the wildest creatures, it's all called forth, shaped, and approved by God.
The whole basis for human work, for stewardship, really rests on getting this right.
Okay, so let's start with that structure you mentioned. The sources really highlight this recurring pattern in Genesis 1, a kind of rhythm.
Yeah, I think rhythm is a good way to put it. The source material calls it a 4-beat cadence. It shows up again and again through the creation days.
So it's not just random reporting of events.
Not at all. It's a teaching tool. Moses uses this repetition, this structure, to embed the theology, to train Israel's memory, shape their worship.
Makes sense. Structure teaches.
And this cadence, it has a direction. It moves purposefully from God's command, his word, all the way to a finished, approved reality.
Right. So let's break down those 4 beats. Beat 1, the decree.
This is where it all starts. You see the formula. And God said, Ve'omer Elohim.
That little phrase carries a lot of weight.
Huge weight. The theological point here is sovereign causality. It's saying reality begins with God speaking. His word is the efficient cause, the thing that makes things happen.
So right off the bat, it's a counter-argument to other creation stories.
Oh, absolutely. It's a direct challenge. Life here is just summoned, effortlessly, by the word.
Not born from struggle or gods fighting or anything like that.
Exactly. Think about something like the Enuma Elish. You've got battles, gods killing each other, building the world out of a carcass. It's messy.
Genesis just says, God said, and boom.
It's clean. It shows absolute control versus, mythological conflict.
Yeah.
Word versus chaos.
Okay, so the word is spoken. How do we know it actually works? That takes us to the second beat, right? Fulfillment.
Beat 2. It's super short, but critical. And it was so Chen. Seems almost redundant.
But it's not. The sources say this is the assertion of efficient efficacy. It's like a seal. It confirms the command wasn't just wishful thinking.
It guarantees the word has power.
Yeah.
Real-world event-producing power. Precisely. What God says happens. Instantly. Perfectly. No lag time, no failed attempts.
Okay, so decree, then fulfillment. The word works. But the account doesn't stop there. Beat 3 moves too. God actually doing something. Craftsmanship.
Right. Now the focus shifts. You get the formula.
Yeah.
And God made Vayas Elohim. This highlights intentional craftsmanship.
So he speaks it into existence, and then he also makes it. How does that work?
Well, the sources draw a subtle distinction. The decree might summon the potential, the realm of the land animals, perhaps. Then the making emphasizes the ordering, the shaping, the bringing it into concrete form within that realm.
Ah, okay, so it's about giving it structure, definition.
Exactly. And the verb used here, asa, made, often points to arranging or forming something from existing material, even if that material was just summoned by the word moments before.
Is that different from bara, the word for create?
Yeah, Bayer often emphasizes the newness, the beginning, sometimes ex nihilo, out of nothing. Osha here feels more like God is ensuring the summoned reality gets properly structured and finished. He's personally involved in securing the details. The command in verse 24 is solidified by God's own action in verse 25.
Got it. Decree, fulfillment, craftsmanship, and then the final step, the 4th beat.
The evaluation. This closes the loop. And God saw that it was good. Vayar Elohim Kitov.
The divine stamp of approval.
Yes. The assertion of evaluative delight. It's God assessing his own work from the initial word to the finished creature and declaring it meets his standard. It's good.
We'll dig into what good means later, I imagine.
Definitely. It's a huge concept. But structurally, this verdict completes the sequence. It signals this part is done, it's right, it's perfect.
So if you put it all together, this four-beat structure, plus the specific list of animals we'll get to, plus this other phrase, it all works like a lesson plan.
It really does. It's catechesis set to a rhythm. It drills into the listener. The world isn't an accident. It's spoken, ordered, made, and approved by God. Deliberate, wise, stable.
Okay, let's talk about that other phrase you mentioned, the one repeated over and over, according to its kind. In Hebrew, lemina, or leminahu.
Text take 2.
Yeah, that phrase is impossible to miss. It's not just decoration.
The sources call it a theological drumbeat. Why so much emphasis?
Well, count them up. It appears 6 times in chapter 1 overall. And here, in just verses 24 and 25, it shows up 3 times. Once for each category of animal God decrees, and then again when he actually makes them.
Livestock, creeping things, wild beasts, each according to his kind.
Right. That repetition is deliberate. It's hammering home a key theological point. The sources label it creational givens.
Okay, creational givens, what's the core idea there?
It signals categorical stability and reproductive boundaries. Basically, Moses is insisting that the variety of life we see isn't random or constantly shifting.
It's not fluid. No. God established distinct categories, kinds. And these kinds have boundaries. They define the limits of variation, and crucially, they define the limits of reproduction. Like produces like.
So this pushes back against any idea that these categories are just, things we humans made up later, labels we stuck on things.
Precisely. It's saying these distinctions are real. They're woven into the fabric of creation by God himself. They aren't arbitrary human ideas or subjective feelings.
They are creational givens, baked in from the start.
Baked in. And this stability, this fixity, is actually what makes the world understandable.
How so?
Well, think about it. If categories were constantly changing, blurring into one another, how could you observe anything reliably? How could you even name things? Language itself depends on stable categories.
Ah, okay. So the fact that there are distinct kinds makes the world intelligible.
Yes, it provides the framework for rational thought about the world.
And that connects directly to Adam's first big task in Genesis 2, right? Naming the animals.
Absolutely. Adam isn't walking into chaos and just making up sounds. He's recognizing the order God already put there.
He sees the kinds.
He sees the kinds, and his naming reflects that divine order. It's an act of recognition, of participating in God's established structure. This stability is the groundwork for everything that follows: farming, animal husbandry, even science.
The sources used a really nice picture for this. Boundaries aren't cages, they're the rails on which fruitfulness runs.
I like that too. It counters the idea that limits are inherently bad or stifling.
Yeah, sometimes we think of boundaries as just restricting.
But here, these God-given boundaries, the kinds, they aren't meant to stop life. They're designed to channel it, to allow for fruitfulness within God's wise order. They protect the integrity of each creature so it can flourish and multiply as God intended.
And this has real ethical implications for us, doesn't it? Especially concerning human pride.
Oh, definitely. It's a powerful check on human hubris. Recognizing these limits as good and God-given teaches us humility.
We're stewards, not creators.
Exactly. We're called to work within the structure God provided, to honor the creaturely limits. You see echoes of this later in the Bible. In laws about not mixing certain seeds or animals, it's about respecting God's distinctions.
So this order, this stability of kinds, it makes responsible dominion possible. But it also shows us when we mess up, when we overstep.
Right. It provides the standard. The creation is handed over to humanity, already structured, already stable, ready for our careful management.
Let's zoom in on the actual process described in verse 24. We know God's word is the primary cause, but then it says, let the earth bring forth. That sounds like the earth is doing something.
Yeah, that phrase is fascinating. Tutsi haaretz.
Like see.
Our grace, what the earth bring forth. The grammar there, the jussive form, is really important.
What does it tell us?
It tells us the earth isn't acting on its own power. It's not originating life. God's command assigns the earth an instrumental role. It becomes a secondary cause.
Okay, so the earth acts, but only because God told it to, and only in the way he told it to, like a tool. Sort of, yeah. A mediator. It's carrying out the instruction. This is theologically huge.
Why huge?
Because it makes it crystal clear that nature, the earth in this case, is subordinate to God's word. The earth mediates the command, provides the stage or maybe the raw materials, but it doesn't invent the life or the design.
So it guards against deifying nature, seeing the earth as some kind of mother goddess?
Exactly that. It completely refutes pagan ideas where the Earth might be a rival power or an autonomous force. Here, the Earth is an obedient servant.
And what about, say, modern naturalism, where matter and energy are seen as the ultimate reality?
It cuts against that too. It insists that matter is dependent. The Earth does nothing unless the divine word empowers it. God works through means, through the Earth, but he doesn't give those means independent authority. He remains intimately involved.
Okay, so the earth is the instrument. What exactly is it commanded to bring forth? The text says nefesh chaya, right? Literally soul of life, or maybe living breather. It signifies active, animated life. We saw this term on day 5 with the sea and air creatures too.
And the key point is that this life isn't just spontaneously generated by the Earth.
No, the sources stress this. It's bestowed life, given by God's command. It originates with him, not with the dirt. This keeps the creator-creature distinction sharp right at the moment complex land life appears. Life is a gift.
Okay, so the Earth is commanded to bring forth as an instrument. But then, verse 25 immediately says, and God made, vayas Elohim. It shifts back to God's direct action.
That shift is crucial. It prevents misunderstanding. If it just stopped with let the earth bring forth, you might think God just, wound it up and let it go. Deism, sort of.
Right. He set the process in motion and stepped back.
But the immediate follow-up, and God made, using Osa, emphasizes his direct personal involvement, his intentional craftsmanship. It confirms that the order, the stability, the specific forms of the kinds they're secured by God's own artistry, not just some automatic process the earth ran.
He didn't just delegate. He oversaw and finished the job himself.
Precisely. He ensures the decree is perfectly executed and the structure is sound.
And the result of that making, that craftsmanship, is this specific list of animals, the triadic taxonomy.
Yes, the 3 categories mentioned: livestock, creeping things, and wild beasts.
And the order seems significant.
It seems to move from the familiar outwards. First, livestock. Behemoth, the animals closest to human life, the ones for domestic use and interaction. Makes sense to list them first, given humanity is about to arrive.
Oh, okay, then.
Second, creeping things. Rims. This covers the smaller ground dwellers, insects, reptiles, small mammals maybe. It shows the fullness covering all the little corners of the land.
Right, fills in the gaps. And third.
Third, wild beasts. Chad Haaretz, the undomesticated animals, the wild game out in the wilderness. Including these shows, God's authority isn't limited to the farm. It extends over the whole earth, even the untamed parts.
So taken together, it's comprehensive. God summons, the earth obeys, God crafts and orders, covering every domain of land life with distinct kinds.
A complete, ordered, stable realm, ready for the next step. Which leads us to that final beat again, the evaluation, the good verdict.
Let's dig into that word good now, Toph. We've seen it seals the 4-beat cadence. But what does it actually mean when God looks at the animals he's made according to their kinds and says, it is good?
Yeah, this is more than just God saying, oh, that looks nice. The sources are clear. This is a moral teleological verdict.
Okay, unpack moral teleological for us.
Well, teleological means it relates to the purpose, the goal, the telos. So God is saying the creation meets his intended design specifications. It's fit for purpose.
Like your clock analogy earlier, it's good because it works perfectly as designed.
Exactly. It functions correctly. It has integrity. It achieves the end God planned for it at this stage of creation. Good here means conformity to God's design and purpose.
So it's an objective assessment based on his standard, not just a subjective feeling.
Right. It's ontological goodness, goodness in its very being and function. The stability of the kinds, the way the earth responded, the diversity he crafted, all of it aligns with his perfect will. It has reached the right proportion, as the sources put it.
In this declaration of goodness, it sets up how humans are supposed to interact with this animal kingdom, doesn't it? It gives us ethical boundaries.
It absolutely does. It provides crucial guardrails, protecting us from 2 big errors in how we relate to creatures.
What are those?
First, it refuses idolization. It prevents us from worshiping the creation.
How so?
By calling the animals good, God affirms their value, their dignity as his creation. But they remain creatures. They aren't divine. They don't possess inherent sacred power.
So no animism, no treating animals as gods to be appeased.
Exactly. This upholds the first commandment, really. Worship belongs to the Creator alone. Creatures are good gifts, reflecting his glory, but they aren't him. The Westminster Confession is strong on this: worship God only as he commands. Animals are part of the good world he made, not rivals for our worship.
Okay, so it guards against putting creatures too high. What's the other error it prevents?
It also refuses contempt. It guards against cruelty, abuse, and seeing creation as worthless or just raw material for exploitation.
Because God himself declared it good.
Right. If the Maker finds it good, who are we to treat it with contempt? This verdict grounds our gratitude. We receive this world as a gift, something to be thankful for, like Paul says in 1 Timothy.
And it directly implies responsibility towards animals.
Yes. Think of Proverbs 12:10. A righteous man regards the life of his animal. Because God values his creation, reflected in this good verdict, our interaction with it should be marked by care, not cruelty. It's not just stuff for us to use up however we please.
So the goodness establishes both the value and the creatureliness of animals, neither gods nor garbage.
That's a good summary. And this whole setup, structured, filled, stable, and now declared morally good, makes the world ready for humanity.
The stage is perfectly set.
Perfectly set. Adam doesn't step into chaos or a morally ambiguous world. He steps into a realm that is ordered, stable, full of distinct kinds, and stamped with God's approval. It's presented as both a gift and a task, ready for his stewardship.
Now, this stability of kinds, this order God established, it's not just something that happened back in Genesis 1 and then faded away, right? The sources show it continues.
Absolutely. This isn't just ancient history. It's about the ongoing nature of God's world.
Yeah.
The stability of kinds is something God providentially maintains.
Like in the flood story.
Exactly. That's a prime example. When judgment comes, God doesn't just wipe the slate clean and start over with mush. He specifically instructs Noah to preserve the animals according to their kinds on the ark.
So even through judgment, God upholds his original creation structures.
Yes. He preserves and reissues that order. It shows his faithfulness to his design. The boundaries he set are maintained. Chaos doesn't win.
And this enduring order then becomes the basis for our role for Christian stewardship.
It has to be. Our role, our vocation, is necessarily derivative. We aren't the creators. We're the caretakers, the vice-regents.
So we don't get to make up the rules or redefine the basic structure.
No. Our job is to receive and extend God's wise order. We work within the framework he established. We don't create meaning out of nothing. And we don't treat the world like it's just ours to reshape however we want. Our authority comes from him and operates under his design.
How does the moral law guide that specifically, thinking about these kinds?
Well, recognizing the goodness and the God-given structure guides our ethics. We need to avoid both extremes we talked about. No idolatry, don't treat creatures like they're divine or have the same standing as humans made in God's image.
And no cruelty.
Right. No creature contempt. True stewardship means responsible, merciful use. It means respecting the integrity of the kinds in things like agriculture or, modern genetics. It's about working with God's design, not against it.
Okay, that connects the creation order to our present responsibility. Now let's look forward. How does all this point to Christ?
The Christological fulfillment. This is where it all ultimately heads. Christ is central to this whole picture from beginning to end.
How so? Start with creation itself.
First, Christ is the agent and sustainer of this very order. John 1:3 is explicit. All things were made through him, the Word, the Son. So the very word speaking in Genesis 1:24 is the pre-incarnate Christ.
He's the one doing the speaking and the making.
Yes, and he doesn't just start it, he keeps it going. Colossians 1 and Hebrews 1 tell us that Christ actively sustains the universe by his powerful word.
So the fact that animals still reproduce according to their kinds today, that's Christ's ongoing work.
That's the implication. The stability isn't just inertia, it's upheld by the constant providential power of the Son, the one through whom and for whom all things were created. The order persists because he sustains it.
Wow. Okay, so he's the agent and sustainer. What about Adam's role?
Well, this ordered good world was made for the first Adam to exercise dominion in. But Adam failed. He marred that dominion through sin. Creation itself was affected, subjected to futility, as Romans 8 says.
So the original purpose wasn't fully realized.
Not through the first Adam. But the creation finds its ultimate purpose, its telos, in the second Adam, Jesus Christ.
How does he fulfill it?
He perfectly lives out the righteous, obedient dominion that Adam was supposed to. Think of his miracles calming the storm, commanding fish. He demonstrates effortless authority over the natural world, over the nephesh kaya, showing he's the rightful king.
He's exercising the dominion Adam forfeited.
Yes, and restoring it. Which leads to the final point. Reconciliation.
The end game.
Right. The fact that God preserves the kinds, these creaturely distinctions, it actually points toward the reconciliation of all things in Christ that Paul talks about in Colossians 1:20.
Reconciliation doesn't mean erasing the distinctions.
No, it seems to mean healing the brokenness, pacifying the hostility introduced by sin, and bringing all of creation back into harmonious service to God under Christ's headship.
With Isaiah's vision of the wolf and the lamb dwelling together.
Exactly. That's not saying wolves stop being wolves or lambs stop being lambs. It's an image of the effects of sin predation, hostility being overcome under the Messiah's righteous rule. The goodness and order declared in Genesis 1 are finally secured, perfected, and brought to their ultimate goal in him.
So the stable world of Genesis 1.2425 is, in a sense, waiting for Christ to fully claim his inheritance and bring everything to rights.
That's a great way to put it. And every time we see that order, that stability of kinds today, it's like a little echo, a reminder sustained by Christ himself, pointing towards that final consummation.
Yeah.
Hashtag tag tag outro.
Well, we've certainly gone deep into just 2 verses today, Genesis 1.24 and 25. Much more than just a list of animals.
Yeah, we've seen it's a tightly argued piece of theology. God speaks, the earth obeys as an instrument, God crafts with intention, he establishes stable kinds, and he declares it all good.
An ordered cosmos, not chaos. Spoken, structured, approved. It really sets the stage for humanity.
And it gives us those ethical boundaries too, avoiding both worshiping the creature and abusing the creature, honoring the creator by respecting his design.
So let's leave you, our listener, with a thought to chew on this week. It connects back to that idea of goodness being about fitness for God's purpose.
Right. If God's design includes these creaturely limits, these kinds, as part of his good order,
Then how should honoring those limits, maybe in the way we approach farming or scientific research, maybe even our consumer choices, how should that reflect our submission to Christ's righteous rule in our everyday lives?
are our actions aimed at extending God's wise, ordered purpose for his creation? Or are we, maybe unintentionally, treating it more like raw material for our own ambitions, our own self-invented goals?
Something to think about. How does the stability and goodness of the kinds shape how you live in God's world?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We hope it was helpful. Until next time, keep digging into the Word.